Welcome to Daily Global Motivation, the place where you come to reset your mindset, rebuild your focus, and remind yourself of the person you are becoming, not the person you used to be. If you've been feeling stuck, distracted, or like you have more potential than you are actually using, then this message is exactly what you need right now. This is not just another video you watch and forget. This is something you return to when you need clarity, direction, and a reminder that your life is still in your hands. Before we go any further, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment "I'm ready," because change starts with a decision, not a feeling. Everything you want is on the other side of consistent action, but most people never reach it because they keep waiting for the right moment. The truth is that the right moment is the one you decide to act, even when you don't feel ready. You don't need more time, more information, or more motivation. You need to start moving with what you already have. This message is here to push you, not comfort you, because growth does not happen in comfort. If you're ready to change your life, then listen carefully. Because what you do after this matters more than anything you've done before. The first thing you need to understand is that your life right now is a reflection of your daily choices. Not your intentions, not your plans, but what you actually do every single day. You can have the best ideas, the biggest dreams, and the strongest desires, but if your actions do not match them, nothing will change. Most people live in a cycle of thinking and planning without ever committing to consistent execution. They tell themselves they will start tomorrow, next week, or when things feel easier, but that moment never comes. Time continues to pass, and the gap between where they are and where they want to be keeps growing. The difference between people who succeed and those who stay stuck is not talent or luck, but the ability to take action consistently. Action is what turns ideas into results, and without it, nothing moves forward. You have to stop waiting and start doing, even if it feels uncomfortable or uncertain. The sooner you accept that, the faster you will begin to see change. Your life does not change when you think about it. It changes when you act on it. One of the biggest reasons people fail to reach their potential is because they rely on motivation instead of discipline. And motivation is one of the most unreliable tools you can depend on. Motivation comes and goes depending on how you feel. And if you only act when you feel like it, your progress will always be inconsistent. Discipline, on the other hand, does not depend on how you feel. It depends on what you decide. It is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. This is what creates consistency, and consistency is what creates results. When you build discipline, you remove the need to constantly negotiate with yourself about whether you should act. You simply do what you know needs to be done. This shift changes everything because it turns action into a habit instead of a struggle. Over time, discipline becomes part of your identity, and you begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. And once that happens, your life starts to move in a completely different direction. You also need to realize that fear is one of the biggest obstacles standing between you and the life you want. And it often shows up in subtle ways that you might not even notice. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, and even fear of success can keep you stuck in the same place for years. Instead of taking action, you overthink, delay, and convince yourself that you are not ready yet. But the truth is that you will never feel completely ready, and waiting only makes it harder to start. Fear does not disappear before action. It disappears because of action. Every time you take a step forward despite fear, you weaken its control over you. Over time, what once felt intimidating becomes manageable, and your confidence begins to grow. This is how you break through the barriers that are holding you back. You do not eliminate fear by avoiding it. You eliminate it by facing it repeatedly. And once you do that, you realize that it was never as powerful as it seemed. Another reason people struggle to move forward is because they focus too much on the outcome instead of the process. And that creates pressure that leads to inaction. When you think only about the end result, it can feel overwhelming and distant, which makes it harder to take the first step. Instead of focusing on what you want to achieve, focus on what you need to do today to move closer to it. Breaking your goals into smaller, manageable steps makes them easier to approach and reduces the resistance you feel. Each small action builds momentum, and that momentum makes the next action easier. Over time, these small steps add up to significant progress. This is how real change happens, not through one big effort, but through consistent daily actions. When you shift your focus to the process, you remove the pressure and make it easier to stay consistent. And consistency is what leads to results that last. You must also understand that your environment plays a critical role in your success, because it either supports your goals or works against them every single day. If you surround yourself with distractions, negativity, and comfort, it will be much harder to stay focused and disciplined. Your habits are influenced by what is around you, often more than you realize. Highly successful people are intentional about their environment because they know it shapes their behavior. They remove distractions, set boundaries, and create spaces that encourage productivity and growth. You need to do the same if you want different results. This does not require a complete life change, but small adjustments that make it easier to stay on track. When your environment supports your goals, you rely less on willpower and more on structure. And structure is what makes consistency sustainable. Another important shift is learning to take responsibility for your life instead of blaming circumstances. Because as long as you blame external factors, you give away your power to change. It is easy to point to your situation, your past, or other people as reasons why you are not where you want to be. But the moment you take full responsibility, you take back control of your direction. This does not mean ignoring challenges, but choosing to focus on what you can do instead of what you cannot. Responsibility allows you to move forward instead of staying stuck in frustration. It shifts your mindset from victim to creator, and that shift is essential for growth. When you accept that your choices shape your future, you begin to make better decisions. Over time, those decisions lead to better results. And once you take ownership, everything begins to change. You also need to stop comparing yourself to others, because comparison can destroy your confidence and distract you from your own progress. Social media often shows the results of others without showing the effort behind them, which creates unrealistic expectations. When you compare your beginning to someone else's outcome, you feel behind even when you are moving forward. This can lead to frustration and a loss of motivation. Instead, focus on your own journey and the progress you are making. Everyone starts at a different place and moves at a different pace. What matters is that you are moving forward, not how fast you are moving compared to someone else. When you shift your focus inward, you regain control of your mindset. This allows you to build confidence based on your own growth instead of external validation. And that confidence is what keeps you going. Consistency is the key to everything you want to achieve, but it is also one of the hardest things to maintain, because it requires you to show up even when you don't feel like it. Many people start strong but stop when they lose motivation or when results are not immediate. This is where discipline becomes essential, because it allows you to continue regardless of how you feel. Results take time, and if you expect instant progress, you will become discouraged and quit too early. You have to trust the process and stay committed even when progress feels slow. Over time, your efforts compound, and what once felt small begins to create noticeable change. This is how success is built, through consistent action over a long period of time. When you understand this, you stop looking for quick results and start focusing on long-term growth. And that mindset shift makes all the difference. You must also learn to embrace discomfort, because growth does not happen in comfort, and avoiding discomfort will keep you exactly where you are. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you reinforce the habits that are holding you back. Discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong, but a sign that you are pushing your limits. The more you expose yourself to it, the more your tolerance increases, and the easier it becomes to take action. Over time, what once felt difficult becomes normal, and your capacity for effort expands. This is how you grow and improve. Avoiding discomfort may feel good in the moment, but it leads to regret in the long run. Facing discomfort may feel difficult now, but it leads to growth and progress. You have to decide which one you are willing to live with. And that decision shapes your future. Another important factor is how you talk to yourself, because your internal dialogue influences your behavior more than you might realize. If you constantly tell yourself that you are not good enough, not capable, or not ready, you reinforce those beliefs and act accordingly. Your mind listens to what you repeat, and over time it begins to accept it as truth. To change your actions, you need to change your thoughts and the way you speak to yourself. This does not mean ignoring reality, but choosing a perspective that supports growth instead of limiting it. When you start telling yourself that you are capable, disciplined, and committed, your behavior begins to align with that identity. Over time, this creates a new standard for yourself, and that standard shapes your actions and your results. This is how you build confidence from the inside out. You also need to understand that failure is not something to fear, but something to learn from, because every mistake contains information that can help you improve. Most people avoid failure because they see it as a sign that they are not good enough. But in reality, failure is part of the process of growth and success. Every successful person has failed multiple times, but they use those experiences to learn and improve. When you shift your perspective on failure, you remove one of the biggest barriers to action. Instead of avoiding mistakes, you start seeing them as opportunities to grow. This allows you to take more risks and move forward with less hesitation. Over time, this mindset leads to faster improvement and better results. And once you embrace failure, you become much more resilient. Another key point is that you need to simplify your approach and focus on what truly matters instead of trying to do everything at once. When you spread your energy across too many goals, your progress becomes slow and unfocused. By narrowing your focus, you increase your ability to make meaningful progress in a specific area. This clarity reduces overwhelm and makes it easier to stay consistent. You do not need to do everything, you need to do what matters most. This requires discipline and prioritization, but it also creates freedom because you eliminate distractions. When your focus improves, your results improve. Over time, this approach leads to better outcomes and a stronger sense of direction. And when you know what matters, it becomes easier to take action. At the end of the day, your life is shaped by what you do consistently, not by what you think about occasionally. Every decision you make either moves you closer to your goals or further away from them. You have the power to change your direction, but only if you are willing to act on it. Waiting, overthinking, and delaying will not create the life you want. Action, consistency, and discipline will. The choice is yours, and it is a choice you make every single day. You can stay where you are, or you can start moving forward. There is no perfect time, only the time you decide to begin. And that decision can change everything. If this message hit you and made you see things differently, then do not ignore it. Use it as a starting point for change. Subscribe to Daily Global Motivation so you can continue building the mindset that pushes you forward every day. Like this video as a commitment to yourself that you are ready to take action. Share it with someone who needs to hear this, because growth becomes stronger when it is shared. And comment "No more excuses" as a declaration of the standard you are choosing to live by. This is your moment to decide that things will be different. Stay consistent, stay focused, and keep moving forward no matter what. And remember, your future is created by what you do starting today.